Hello, my name is Spencer Rainey, and I'm here to discuss question 6 on our writing assignment. I chose to do my personal thoughts over the fact that, in my experience with European history classes, we have tended to ignore the Holy Roman Empire, especially during the later Middle Ages and the early modern period / the Renaissance. Typically, it's a location in Europe that is only really discussed with regard to the Middle Ages and emperors such as Charlemagne or Otto. And we don't typically talk about the importance of the Holy Roman Empire in the greater scheme of European history. And reading through German histories in the Age of Revolution, or in the Age of Reformation, we get a greater sense of the importance of the politics of the Holy Roman Empire and their impact on the history not just of Germany, but of Europe as a whole. As we have read, the social and political reforms enacted by the emperors Sigismund, Frederick, and Maximilian helped uh, helped strengthen the power of local political leaders and religious leaders, the, the the feudal princes, by 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 enacting territorialization and the rise of primogeniture in order to give certain ruling families specific power over specific lands, in effect creating nation states in miniature. This gave these princes greater power over their lands, and when Luther began his Reformation, this gave them the power to support the Protestant religion, and break away from Catholic dogma or the power of the emperor, which they did because they were interested in consolidating their power and showing a greater level of independence from the imperial will or from the power of Rome. At the same time, the rise of the merchant class in the cities and the rise of education thanks to the printing press gave people a better opportunity to decide what they wanted to believe in and whether or not they would follow the traditions of the past, especially if they considered them to be corrupt. In the cities, many people, or for quite a long time, there had been rising dissension against the Catholic Church because of various abuses of power. And when Luther's Reformation began, people in the cities were in the prime position to abandon the old ways of life and force the clergy to reintegrate into the population, to give up the old traditions or the cloistered way of life and actually participate in their community. The long shot of, or the upshot of this, is that the social reforms began in the 15th century, helped shape the Germany of the Renaissance, or of the early modern period, and helped create a Catholic and a Protestant version of said country, which coexisted side by side, if admittedly in a tense situation. This would continue until war broke out, and the war eventually would spread to the rest of Europe, or to Western and Central Europe. And as we have read in the book, the aftermath of the war was that peace was formed, and the religious conflict was essentially ended, and Germany began to live more peacefully, and there became less conflict between the Catholics and the Protestants, if this was, or, admittedly, this was at the expense of peace in Europe, as it shifted the focus away from religious conflict to political conflict, and led to the series of wars that have plagued Europe ever since. That is why learning this history of the Holy Roman Empire has been important. It has shown how local politics, when combined with social and religious upheavals, have had a lasting impact in European social and political history. Thank you for your time.